Hey everybody, I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to As Above, So Below, a rune and tarot divination for Monday, the 25th day of September, 2023. As you know from Friday's reading, I was not well enough to do a reading on Thursday. I did not feel well at all and had a hard time getting out of bed, and it was just awful. So I thought, well, maybe I can do it in the afternoon. Well, that didn't happen either. So anyhow, I felt better on Friday morning, and so I did it then. So apologize for that. But I started something new on the last reading where I'm going to start with a card from the wild and let's see, it's called the Wild and Sacred Feminine deck. I keep wanting to call it the Wild and Sacred Oracle deck, but they're oracle cards. I love oracle cards. They're fun to do, and I don't do them here, but I thought it might be kind of fun to share this particular one. I have a list over on the blog over at Stepping Aside. The web address over there is imsteppingaside.com. If you click on more below the video, it'll open up a box and it shows that website address there. I have some recommendations for tarot decks that I like, and also I've included this particular oracle deck there. I like the whole idea of the wild and sacred feminine within anyway, and this is just a really cool deck. Last times on Friday it was the wolf. This time it's the mystic, and it's about the inner devotion we have. Basically, here we go. Here you can see the as above, so below nature of this, but it's what she represents in terms of devotion is it's spiritual devotion. It's the true balance between soul and physical form. You're essentially, each one of us is the soul connection between the astral realm and earth energies. It's your own divine presence moving through life with earth as your temple. Understanding that everything that you see and experience is really a reflection of the other side of self, and that all things embody the creator within. And as such, we should view everything with love and with connection and without judgment. So essentially embrace your inner mystic within, and let everything be your temple. Let everything be a measure of devotion or expression of devotion throughout the day. So I'm going to set that over there. Let's go ahead and get started with the significator runes for today. That just means the overall focus of the reading. So we'll know that, hopefully anyway, when I draw this one, and also throw down the 4 elemental geomancy runes to discover the geomancy rune for today. So here we have Gebo. Now we had this on Friday. So again, I guess we're going to be dealing with how we partner with others. Are we doing it from the standpoint, again, of the mystic within, with no judgment, with no seeing everything as the other side of self? This is an energetic balance rune. It's literally the idea is the 7th rune of the Elder Futhark. It's about balanced energy exchange, the link between the self and everything else. It's the gift of reciprocity, but on a higher level, higher self level. So this then would represent the above side of things today. And again, we had that on Friday. We've been doing that a lot. Lately it's been Carcer. And then, of course, on Friday we had Rubius, so another, energy of ego, essentially. But there, with Rubius, it was a misuse of force. Let's see what we get today, though. Looks like we have Laetitia. So we're changing a little bit here. Well, significantly, actually. Laetitia is about joy. It portends good fortune. But basically it's about joy and how we integrate and joy with other people. And so again, when you're talking about with Gebo, we're in alignment today then with how we interact with one another on a level of balance, balanced energy exchange, if you will. The gift of reciprocity. It doesn't mean that everything has to necessarily be equal. But at the same time, there needs to be that potential for reciprocity there with others. I'm just going to shuffle a little bit here. I've already done some shuffling. It's part of my ritual before I start. We'll cut the deck and we'll find out what the small cards have to say, or the cards themselves. We don't know they're going to be the small cards or the minor, because I started with the Empress. So we've got one from the major arcana and two from the minor or small cards. The Four of Pentacles and the Three of Wands. Lately, we've been having a run on like on Friday we had a run on Pentacles. We had two majors on the Monday before that. But sometimes we'll get a run on a particular suit, and that just means that whatever the dominant element is and whatever the dominant meaning behind that suit is, that's going to be the focus of the cards, at least. But today we have one from Pentacles and one from Wands. Pentacles is the earth element, Wands is the fire element, and the Empress is card 3 of the major arcana. And I would say she embodies both Gebo and Laetitia. But here we have the Empress as the goddess, if you will, sort of almost reclining on her throne. You can't see it too well here, but she's actually pregnant. And you see abundance all around her. You see her crown of stars. Let's see, most of them look like Merkabahs, which is the soul vehicle. We see a little river running right here next to her. You see the wheat growing here beneath her feet. She's just surrounded by abundance, isn't she? The Empress is about giving birth to creation. You start out with the Fool as card 0, taking the leap into form, the leap of faith into form. And then you have the Magician, who brings all of the elements together to create the physical reality. And then you have the High Priestess as card 2, which brings together and infuses that creation with the soul energy, with the subconscious, with the dream state, with intuition, flowing in spirit basically into that physical form. And then from there, the Empress gives birth to the world, or to the universe, or to you. She does so in love. You see the shield here is in the shape of a heart. You see the glyph for Venus. So she's about beauty and about relationships and the type of relationships we have. And that's why I say she embodies Gebo, because we're looking at a higher level of integration with people with Gebo. Bringing everything into some kind of balance with this, given the 7 numerology of it, or at least in terms of, you can also reduce Gebo down to its own physical numerology of the letters themselves. But given that it's the 7th rune of the Elder Futhark, we can look at that as the as its numerology of balance and observation and magic and all of that. It's also interesting, the 25th day, it reduces 2 and 5, add up to 7. So that's when we talk about reduction in numerology, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about reducing the number down to a single digit, unless it's an 11 or a 22 or a 33, because those are our master numbers, and we don't like to reduce those. At least I don't. But here we have a 7 numerology for the day. So again, balance, observation, coming together in Gebo with people. In terms of reciprocity and trying to understand the self and the other side of self, essentially. That's another way of looking at it. And doing so in joy and fellowship with other people, with Laetitia. And that, I think the Empress is giving us that. As the third card of the major arcana, you see that type of integration with the 3. It's about interaction and communication and mind, body, spirit balance. But again, the operative word being balanced. And so I think that with staying in the Laetitia aspect of self, where you're being joyful and you're engaging in fellowship with other people, I think that's the essentially the physical expression of the higher energy of Gebo, and also of the Empress. What are we going to give birth to? Is it going to be something that's going to be in balance with other people? Next we have the 4. This is an interesting card. We see the king sitting on a bench, a stone bench. He's away from the kingdom, and you know that because he's on this side of the 2 lines here. I call it the dual line of demarcation. I don't know, And I don't know that anyone else does, but I do. But I think people notice it when you have somebody doing a tarot reading for you. I think they're going to notice this line. Hopefully they do, and to see that you're out away from something. The I think the Five of Cups is one where you see a castle across the river, and you've got the guy standing there. He's upset, and three cups are turned over on the ground in front of him, and two more are up right behind him. He can't see. He's in grief. Basically, he's very upset about something. The answer is likely that maybe he doesn't feel any support, when in truth the family's on the other side of the water there, the little river that's running in front of him, or the creek, and his support is there, but he can't see it. Same with the Four of Cups. You're dealing with those two issues in those two particular cards. But here you have the king who's not only stepping on his wealth, but he's got it displayed on his head, and he's holding fast to it here. Holding fast can either indicate miserliness, or it can indicate maybe a conservative approach to something. But he could be holding on to all of this for the kingdom behind him. I mean, it seems like a pretty big kingdom back there. And so he could be just taking a measured approach to things about the foundation of the society he manages, essentially, his kingdom. And so we can read it that way. I worry about that sort of thing, though, when we're talking about a balanced experience with other people. This card just doesn't feel balanced to me, although it could. If you're giving birth to something, you might begin, in other words, if you're starting a new relationship with somebody, or a new friendship, or a new coworker experience, or whatever, you might be a little bit measured in your approach with that person, in terms of this new relationship you're giving birth to here today. And again, remember to be joyful and loving and positive and kind, and laugh a lot, having that type of interaction with the person, to try to build that new experience with them, essentially, one in a way that's balanced and reciprocal, and is truly the gift that you offer other people. But again, you may want to be a little bit conservative about it, and hang on to what you have, to show them what you can offer to the relationship, the strength of character. It doesn't necessarily have to be about money, although they're showing coins here. But it's your wealth. What do you have to offer this person in terms of reciprocity, in terms of the gift of balanced integration? Maybe that's the true gift we offer others, instead of having relationships always seeming to be on some kind of uneven keel. So maybe that's what this card is. I just find it's an interesting card when you're talking about relationships and what you're giving birth to. But again, the strength of being able to manage your life in a way that is successful, because clearly, the kingdom doesn't appear to be all broken down. So whatever he's hanging on to, it's on behalf of the kingdom. So maybe that's what you offer somebody, is the ability to do that, to offer that sort of security that you can offer them in terms of your relationship, that you're not somebody that's going to abandon them. You're going to be right there to support them and all of that. So maybe we could look at the Four that way. It's interesting. Then we come to the Three of Wands. Now, what we have here then, in terms of a run, or a different type of balance, we have the Three with the Empress, and then at the end we have the Three of Wands with the Four in the center. So it truly does look like the scales. Where do I have that little piece of paper? Here I have it. I used the bottom of it, so I tore it off. But this is essentially what we have, and what we would have then for today. I'll just do it on the back side of this. We would have a 3, and a 4, which is essentially the same as this. And with today's 7 numerology, I'll put that up there. With today's 7 numerology, you're literally I mean, we have some synchronicity here, just in terms of the way I pulled the cards. So the 4 up here at the top, and then the creation energy of the 3s below here on either side. That's kind of an interesting thing. I just noticed it as I got to that. But again, you're looking at the gebo of it all, the balance of it all, the scales, the 7 of it all. But here we have the 3 of wands. Now, to really understand this card, you have to think about what the 2 looks like. The 2 of wands is an interesting card. Instead of him looking off in this other direction, in this direction here to see what his ship is coming in, he starts out just creating a doorway for himself with one staff that's affixed and another that he's holding. And he's holding a globe in his hand in the 2. And so he's trying to decide at that point, where am I going to go? He's a man of means. I'm going to make my way. These are new opportunities. And he's holding the globe, so anything's possible. But by that time with the 2, he's going to make a decision about that, right? And then with the 3, he's going to step through the doorway. You've got the doorway right here. And he's still holding on to the opportunity that he chose. And you see down here, this is actually water, even though it's not blue. But you see 1, 2, 3 ships down there in the water. And he's essentially waiting for the manifestation of the decision he made, about where he's going to go in life. What's his new opportunity? What new opportunities is he going to take? And then manifest for himself. And here you see he's done that, and he's just waiting to see what happened. How did that go? This is the opportunity that I have. I'm now making my way with that. And how am I going to do that? Well, if we're looking at that in terms of balanced energy exchange with others, or the gift of reciprocity, maybe you've come upon somebody who's a wise mentor, and maybe that could be the king, even a person in authority, who's given you some advice, and in a reciprocal way. That person is giving back what they've learned, in other words, to the person coming up in the world, to the person maybe just out of college or trade school or what have you. And you have that balanced energy exchange. Now this person, you go and you get advice from somebody wiser than you, and you say, as part of your decision-making process. And with the 3, you see the fruits of all of that coming to manifestation. Of now you've actually made something of yourself. You've made the decision. Now he's this merchant perhaps, or entrepreneur of some kind. But that whole balanced energy exchange, that gebo experience, someone with just in a selfless way offered to mentor you, maybe, and then maybe that's the new relationship you have, is someone in authority who has more experience than you to help you make that decision, and now you're seeing the fruits of all of that. And so that may be what this is for you today. Maybe you meet someone who's there to offer some help and guidance and advice in what it is you want to give birth to. Your life is maybe changing in a way. Maybe you've decided to open your own business, for example. Or maybe you want to buy into a business, or you want to work for somebody that you really think whose business really reflects your own values and all of that. But you don't really know where to start, and so maybe you find someone, an older person that you know, or if it's not someone older, someone who has some level of authority, who's got, in other words, some experience, who can then help you give birth to something new today. And in the end of it, you've taken the advice, and you've made the decision you need to make, and now you're watching the fruits of all of that happen. But again, there's this give and take. There's this balanced give and take, this feeling of reciprocity, this gift maybe from someone who's saying, take a conservative approach to whatever decision you need to make. So maybe that's what the 4 is all about here. 4 is really about foundation and practicality and pragmatism and structure. grounding. And so maybe he's suggesting don't get too far ahead of yourself on whatever it is you're going to choose and whatever it is you want to give birth to, whatever you're planning to do. Maybe you need to just take a measured approach to it, and but that gift of taking his time or her time with you to give you the ideas that it took them a long time to figure out, the understanding that they have about the world out there and what you need to do to make your way in it, and what's the best choice. I think sometimes you open a business or something and you do things in a way where you get all excited, the money's coming in and you spend, but then maybe if your business is seasonal, then you don't really have enough to survive the winter, so to speak, where you don't have as much business as you might during, say, the summer months or the spring months and all of that. It could be something like that you're dealing with. And so maybe what the king is representing is he's saying, well, as you're giving birth to this new opportunity, as you're embracing this new opportunity, you want to make sure that you have enough of a cushion to carry you through. It could be something like that. And so if that resonates for you today, I think that give and take, going and seeking out advice from someone else, if you are considering something new, a new direction, a new path to take, getting that advice from somebody who's been there, who understands the process, who understands the pitfalls, what to look out for. Maybe that person is going to tell you, take a more measured approach. Don't get ahead of yourself. Make sure you have enough money to proceed. So maybe you hold off on some really cool purchase for the business you'd like to have because you're not really there yet. You need to maybe be in business a little bit longer before all the money that comes in starts going out, essentially. Especially depending upon the nature of your business. If it's not a retail type thing, it may be you have to have word of mouth because maybe you don't have a big advertising budget yet. So you may need word of mouth to get out there about who you are and what you can offer if you're, say, a sole proprietor, a contractor, or whatever, who is working from job to job, essentially. So you don't have a storefront, in other words, where people are coming in all the time and they're buying product from inside your store. That is a little bit more ongoing than someone who has to actually go out there and find jobs so that they can make a living. And then from then you're able to then relax a little bit and watch what happens and see the fruits of your labor manifesting in front of you. That you don't see a blue sky here with wands being the fire element. It's very dynamic, very creation oriented, very manifestation oriented, and so that's tends to be depicted by the sun or the yellow sky in this case. So I think that it kind of promises a bright future ahead, but at the same time, the 4 is probably talking about whatever you do, you need to make sure you have enough material security to make that happen. And as you get going, you probably want to keep a lot of that money back and put it in the bank so that you're not out there spending it all and to where you have no cushion to fall back on if you have moments where, the business is still taking off and you don't have a lot of work coming in yet. Because you still got to pay the bills, right, at home and there at the business if you have an actual place you're leasing or what have you. But again, I think that this is about whatever you're creating. It's got to be done in a way that's balanced and especially in terms of your interactions with others. If you're like a contractor that you have to be hired each time, right? You have to show your dependability. This is a card of dependability. You have to show your new customers, I'm dependable. Maybe they're looking at a lot of different people to decide who they want to have come and do something at their home. And if that's the case, you have to be the one that shines. And so you have to let them know you're responsible, you're dependable, you're going to do what you say. You're going to communicate. So it's that basic balanced energy exchange with others, what you're going to offer and what they can expect from you. And so that's another form of Gebo. And again, doing this in a way that's joyful and engaging with others in a positive way with Laetitia, all of that can then manifest some wonderful opportunities for you. So so I hope this resonates for you. Otherwise, just hang on to it, and because I know this is kind of specific. I try to stay pretty general here. This is actually pretty specific, because I really think that this has to do with what you're going to create is something that's going to be really positive for your future. So anyhow, I guess that's it. I don't think I have anything else to add. And I don't think we need another card. I think it's pretty clear. I love the pattern of this, how it really aligns with Gebo and being the 7th rune of the Elder Futhark, and also with the 25th day, having the numerology there be a 7. So I think we have some synchronicity here today with all of that. So I don't know, maybe you're already embarking upon this, and this is just giving you some extra advice about that. Or maybe this is the turning point where you say, okay, well, I need to go talk to somebody, obviously, about what I want to do and how I might go about doing it. You can't be afraid to ask for help from people that have experience. They love to tell you about how they did it and what to look out for. It's just a natural thing for people to do. And if it's not, then go find somebody else, because people are really that generous with their time and their experience and their advice in situations like this. So I've been there. I've been on both ends of the spectrum where I've offered advice and where I've needed advice, and so it's out there. And again, it's like they're likely probably going to tell you, make sure you have some kind of a cushion there with the 4 of Pentacles, so that you have it to fall back on. And if that means that you are very careful with how you the bills you incur, and because you're going to have certain things in business, you'll have to have insurance, you'll have to maybe have a business license depending on where you live. Some places don't have them, but most places do. So there's some things you have to do in order to in other words, money that's going to go out so that you can make money. Maybe you have to buy tools or something, or you have to buy another car or something. We have some people in our area, they have like a type of it's like an Uber type of a taxi service, and they have they have 2 or 3 electric cars electric vehicles that they use, and so they're thinking about how to conserve, but at the same time be able to provide the service that they want to provide. And so they're able to do that in a way that reduces some of their initial outlay of money, by not having to pay for gas, so to speak, and so it's a small area, and so maybe they take people to and from the airport or what have you, but or wherever they're going, but again, they've set it up in a way where, yes, they had some initial money they had to spend, but from there they try to conserve and run the business in a way that maximizes the profits that they make, and so maybe they had started out with 1 car and now they've got 3, and so that's might be one example of what some neighbors of mine have done to have an independent business. And they're still doing it, so it must be working. So I don't know. And this has been going on for a long time. I would say probably, maybe 10 years at least now that they've had it. So it must be doing well for them. But again, they keep their costs low as possible. And because they probably have lease payments on the cars, but they try to keep everything as their costs as low as possible, so that they can maximize their profits. And so maybe that's the essence of what today's reading is all about. And then when you've done all that, you can stand back and you can sit back and watch. And watch the money come in, watch the success you're going to make, because I think this is a card of success. But again, you need to talk to somebody, and you need to take a measured approach in whatever it is you're trying to create. So anyhow, thanks for watching, and come back on Thursday, hopefully, I'm sure I'll be here, for another edition of As Above, So Below. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.